Most people learn Jiu-Jitsu backwards. They collect more moves, more guard attacks, more submissions, more escapes, and they keep wondering why none of it feels reliable when the round gets hard. The problem is not always that you need another technique. A lot of the time, the problem is that you are trying to do the right move from the wrong position, with your body weak, your opponent strong, and the exchange already moving against you. There is one idea that makes all of this much easier to understand, and that idea is alignment. Once you start seeing it, you start noticing why some people feel impossible to control, why some attacks feel effortless, and why other attacks fail even when the technique looks correct. In almost every position, the real battle is the same. Can you keep your posture, your frames, and your base while taking those things away from the person in front of you? When you first start training, it is normal to look at Jiu-Jitsu as a collection of moves. You learn one sweep, one pass, one choke, one escape, and you try to remember every step when somebody is resisting you, because your opponent changes the angle, moves a hand, turns a hip, changes pressure, and suddenly, the move you memorized is no longer the exact position in front of you. This is why so many people know techniques, but still freeze in real rounds, because they are trying to search for the correct answer, instead of understanding what makes the answer work. The best athletes are not only good because they know more techniques, they are good because most of the time, their body is in a position where they can create force, move freely, and stay safe, while the other person is slightly twisted, slightly off balance, or slightly late. From the outside it can look like magic, especially when someone smaller controls someone stronger. But most of the time, it is not magic at all. It is better positioning, better control, and better timing. The first part of alignment is posture. And in Jiu-Jitsu, posture does not simply mean sitting upright with your back straight. Sometimes good posture is tall, sometimes it is low, sometimes it is curled while you turn underneath somebody. But the important point is that your spine is working in a position you chose, not being folded or twisted by your opponent. You can feel this immediately from bottom side control, because when the person on top controls your head and turns your face away, the position suddenly feels much heavier. Your hips may want to turn in, your knees may want to recover inside, but your upper body is facing the wrong direction. And now even a simple movement becomes difficult, because your own body is no longer working together. This is why good top players often feel heavier than they really are. They are not only putting weight on you, they are placing that weight in a way that stops you lining your body up properly. They turn your face away, control your shoulders, and keep your hips from moving in the direction you need. And then every escape starts feeling like much more work than it should be. From the bottom, this changes what you should be thinking about. Instead of immediately trying to explode out of the position, your first job may be much smaller. Turn your face back toward the person. Bring your elbow closer to your ribs. Get slightly onto your side and connect your feet to the mat, because once your body starts lining up again, the escape becomes possible. Think about a recent round where somebody felt impossible to move from the top. There is a good chance they were not only stronger or heavier, they were simply much better at keeping your body pointed in the wrong direction. The second part is your frames, meaning the way your arms and legs stay connected to your body and help you create or stop movement. Your limbs are not only tools you use for attacks and escapes, they are also handles your opponent is trying to control, because a person does not always need to move your whole body if they can first control one useful part of it. A wrist, an ankle, an elbow separated from your ribs, or a knee pushed away from your chest can become a handle that allows the other person to guide the rest of your body. This is one of the reasons a smaller athlete can control somebody stronger, because strength becomes far less useful when a limb is isolated and the body cannot support it properly. A strong arm is much easier to control when the elbow is away from the ribs and the shoulder is turned badly. And powerful legs are much less useful when the feet are controlled and the hips are being forced away from the direction they want to move. Instead of trying to fight strength directly, you start taking away the positions where that strength can be used properly. This is also why you need to protect your own elbows, wrists, knees, and feet. When you are escaping, do not give the person on top an arm to collect just because you are desperate for space. When you are passing, do not let the person underneath connect clean grips to your feet and knees before you start moving. When you are wrestling, do not accept head control and bad posture before the exchange has even started. At the side of the mat, somebody gets trapped underneath side control and tries to bridge with everything they have, but the forearm opens wide. The person on top catches it, settles higher, and the position gets worse. The person underneath thinks they need a bigger explosion, but what they really need is to stop giving away the handle that makes the control stronger. Elbows close, face turned back toward the pressure, feet connected to the mat, and now the movement starts having a purpose. The third part is base, and this is usually the part people misunderstand the most. Because base does not only mean you are hard to sweep from top position. Base means you have a reliable point of support that lets you absorb force, create force, or move in a useful direction. From standing, your base is usually your feet under your weight. And when your weight moves too far beyond them, you become easier to pull, push, or take down. From top position, your base may be your knees, your toes, or a hand post that keeps you stable while the person underneath tries to move you. From bottom position, your feet on the mat may be the support that lets you bridge, turn your hips, or recover a knee. You cannot move well without something to move from, and this is where a lot of guard recovery attempts fail. The passer is almost around the legs. The bottom person is flat on their back, their feet are floating away from the mat, and they are trying to bring a knee back inside using only effort. They may know the movement they want, but their body has no support behind it. So first, they need a foot on the mat, a useful frame, or a better angle, and only then does the recovery become realistic. The same idea matters when you are passing, because when the person underneath has strong frames and good feet on the mat, pushing directly into them may be the hardest way to move forward. You are driving into the exact direction where they are ready to resist, while a better passer feels that resistance, clears a foot, moves around the knees, or changes the angle before putting pressure back in. Your posture keeps your spine useful, your frames keep your limbs connected and difficult to isolate, and your base gives you the support to move and create force. When you have those three things, you are difficult to attack, and when the other person starts losing them, the positions you already know become much easier to control. This is why a submission is not really separate from control. A submission is usually what happens when the other person has lost enough useful movement that the finish becomes available, without giving them an easy way back to safety. You can be in mount and still have a difficult time attacking if the person underneath has tight elbows, strong feet on the mat, and enough movement to make you unstable. You can also be inside somebody's guard and feel relatively safe if they have no useful grips, no angle, and no way to control your posture. The name of the position matters, but what matters more is what each person can still do from that position. A lot of failed submissions happen because people rush toward the finish before the control is ready. They see the arm, they see the neck, they recognize the opportunity, but the person defending can still turn, bridge, pull the elbow back, recover a knee, or come up into them. The submission may be visible, but the control underneath it is not strong enough yet. If this is giving you something useful, I post free tips and deeper guides on my Patreon. The link is in the description, and if you want every new lesson to reach you, subscribe and turn on the bell. Guard passing is one of the clearest places to apply this idea, because most people begin the guard battle too late. They let the person underneath connect grips, wrap a leg, build an angle, and settle into the exact position they wanted, and only then do they begin trying to pass. But very often, the best moment to pass is before a full guard even exists. When you approach somebody who is seated, your first goal is not to willingly step into their favorite position. Your first goal is to deny useful contact. Clear the feet before they attach. Control an ankle or knee long enough to move around it, and avoid giving them the grip that lets them pull you into their game. At the edge of the mat, two athletes slap hands and start moving. One person steps close and immediately lets the seated player connect to the ankles, while the other person stays just outside, touches the feet, clears a shin, and circles before the guard is properly built. Nothing dramatic happens, but the second athlete has removed an entire problem before it had the chance to become difficult. Once the guard is connected, the job changes, because now you are not avoiding their controls anymore. You are trying to remove them without losing your balance. If they have a strong knee frame, a useful hook, or a grip that keeps your posture broken, forcing pressure without dealing with those controls will only make the pass harder. And when the pass is almost completed, you cannot relax too early, because the person underneath only needs one useful knee or one good frame back inside to restart the whole exchange. From the bottom, that last recovery depends on finding support and angle before the top person settles. And from the top, control only becomes real when those last recovery tools have been removed. A lot of difficult passing rounds begin because the passer accepts the strongest version of the guard for free and then tries to prove they can escape from it. Sometimes the better answer is much simpler. Do not give the first strong connection away. The same idea changes the way you escape, because escaping from a bad position is not always about finding one perfect move and creating one huge burst of energy. When somebody experienced escapes, it often looks much smaller than that. They turn their face back toward the pressure, bring an elbow close, plant a foot, move their hips just enough to force a reaction, recover a knee, remove a grip, and keep working until the position begins to open. They are not asking one massive movement to solve everything at once. They are rebuilding the parts of their body that allow movement in the first place. A beginner underneath side control often makes one huge bridge, exposes both arms, falls flat again, and becomes even easier to control, while somebody more experienced may barely look like they are doing anything, but they never give the top person perfect control. Their elbows are difficult to isolate. Their face is always trying to turn back in. Their feet are searching for the mat, and their hips are always one small movement away from recovering space. You can know a good hip escape, but if your head is turned away, your arm is exposed, and your feet have no useful support, you're asking that escape to fix too many problems at once. Instead, recover the tools that make the escape work. Protect the elbow, turn toward the pressure, connect your feet to the mat, and create one small opening at a time. The mount armbar is a great example because almost everyone knows what the submission looks like, but there is a huge difference between seeing an arm and truly controlling the person. A beginner gets mount, sees an arm move away from the body, and immediately swings a leg over the head, falls backward, and hopes the arm stays with them. Sometimes it works, but very often the person underneath turns, pulls the elbow free, comes up on top, or creates enough movement to make the finish difficult. The problem is not the armbar. The problem is that the attacker gave away control before the person underneath had lost the ability to defend. From mount, you want to make movement difficult before you commit to the arm. If the person underneath can turn freely toward you, their posture is still helping them. If their elbows are tied to their ribs, their arms are still protected. If their feet are planted strongly and they can bridge in the direction they want, their base can still make you unstable. So instead of rushing, you build the position first. You keep your hips stable, use pressure and angle to make their shoulders turn in a way that exposes one elbow, begin separating that elbow from the ribs, and as soon as space appears, you fill that space with your knee or leg as you climb higher. That detail changes everything, because the elbow does not become yours just because it moves away for 1 second. It becomes yours when it cannot easily return to safety. Your knee near the shoulder blocks the path back. Your weight limits their ability to turn, and your own base lets you stay balanced while they try to bridge and recover. Now, when your leg moves over the head, you are not throwing away the position and hoping the arm stays with you. You are moving into a finish that has already been prepared. Their shoulders cannot freely turn, their elbow cannot easily return, and their bridge cannot move you in the direction they need. The final extension is only the last part of the attack, because the real work happened before that. When you control the body instead of chasing the arm. This is something you can carry into every round without changing your whole game. When you are passing, notice whether the person underneath already has useful contact on your feet and knees, and deal with that before trying to force your way past. When you are playing guard, do not attack only because you recognize a sweep or submission. Notice whether the person on top is still upright, balanced, and able to move away freely. When you are escaping, do not judge yourself only by whether you got out. Notice what prevented you from moving in the first place. And when you are attacking from the top, do not let the finish pull you away from the control that made the finish possible. Techniques still matter, but they become far more reliable when you understand what makes them work. Instead of only remembering where your hand should go, you understand what that hand is stopping. Instead of only copying where your knee should be, you understand what movement that knee is taking away. Instead of forcing the attack because you recognize the position, you understand whether the person in front of you still has the tools to defend. That is why high-level jiu-jitsu often looks calm. The best athletes are not always doing more. A lot of the time, they are giving away less. They do not walk straight into the strongest guard and then try to be brilliant from there. They control the first contact. They do not throw away their base for a rushed submission. They build the control until the attack makes sense. They do not wait underneath a bad position until one huge escape becomes necessary. They keep recovering small parts of their body before the control becomes complete. So when you train, do not only look for your favorite move, look at what makes the move work. Keep your posture useful, protect your frames, build your base, and take those things away from the person in front of you patiently, without rushing past the control you need. Once you start training with that in mind, Jiu-Jitsu becomes much easier to understand, because you are not only collecting moves anymore, you are learning what control actually is. Thank you for studying with me. If you want more, I post free tips, full guides, and I also do personal breakdowns of your own footage on my Patreon, and I answer questions for all members. The link is in the description. If this helped you, subscribe and turn on the bell so future lessons reach you automatically. And it truly helps me keep making this for you.